Hey folks, welcome back. Dr. D in the Dungeon, and we've got another project that needs addressed today. As you can see, I have these are all separate projects, and man, I'm behind. But this one popped up this weekend. I have a 25-foot center console, and this is the hub off of a Lewmar ProFish Windlass. And so what a windlass does is it brings your anchor up under power, right? Which, on a boat with a larger anchor, it's 22 pounds. And so, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's got, I don't know, 25 foot of chain on it. And so having a winch set up by hand is, yeah. So anyhow, this has got kind of a poor design, but the way that it works is that when you let the anchor line out, what it does is the shaft will spin counterclockwise, and you can see this little thing here, and I've just got it set in there. I've got the string out of it. This is spring loaded, and it will actually catch one of the legs of the housing, and it will push itself away from the body as it unscrews. And so your anchor line goes out, and then you press it back in, and so now we're turning in a clockwise direction. It's still hitting on that, and so it's going to flip around and it'll hit the other side of that, and then this screws in and closes up and basically serves as a clutch to bring your rope and anchor back in. So I've had ongoing issues with this thing for a few years, and I've been doing stopgap measures to fix it. Well, this time I need to do something a little more permanent. What happened is it had spun out just a little bit further than what it's designed to, and it stripped a thread, and then it just literally tore it up inside. And I've got it cleaned up in here, and it's so chewed up that I can't get the thread to even start correctly. And I can see some torn threads, and so yeah, it's just, so basically what I need to do is I'm going to bore this thing out, and I have a piece of oil impregnated bronze that I'm going to press fit this in here. I'll probably stick this in the oven and get it nice and warm. I'll stick this in the freezer and get it nice and cool, and I'll push that in there and let it sit. Or I might just red Loctite it, depending upon how I do. Once that's in there, I probably will just red Loctite it. It'd be a lot easier. Once this is in here, then I'm going to tap it what is it? I think it's a 7/16/18. And so yeah, I don't know if we can see down in here. Can you see down inside those threads? Zoom in. I don't know if the camera will pick it up or not, but those threads are pretty badly destroyed. And so basically I'm going to set this up in the 4-jaw chuck. I'm going to indicate off of this surface, and I'm going to bore that out. All right, back in a minute. All right, folks, so I got this chucked up in the 4-jaw, and I got a little backlight on. You can just barely see some of the stripped out threads there. And so yeah. All right, folks, I don't really have a good way to get a good angle on this because it's a really small bore, and I can just barely see what I'm doing. And so I've got Cindy on the back side there shining the light in here so I can see, and then let's just cut this out. threads go. Alright. So yeah, stuff like this, you know, just it's not real good visibility, even for me right down here on the machine. And so, you know, it is what it is. But I'll come back to you here in just a minute and we'll finish this up. Yeah, there you go. You can see I got about 3 threads left to take out, and then I'll bore it out for diameter. Alright, I got that set up so that I've got my stop, and I'm starting to think that this was actually pressed in there before, because there was a gap on the back side of it. Alright, shine that in there, babe. Alright. So yeah, when because like I said, what had happened is it had come out just a hair too far, and then, you know, it's basically stripped a thread, and then that was it. It went from running concentrically to, you know, running all cattywampus, and that's when I knew I was done. Yeah, and I just pulled it off, and you know, we had to run the anchor by hand. But that's I'm not unhappy with that fit. Can you get back there and run it on it? Just zoom it in a little bit. I mean, there's about 1/2 thousandths of play there, maybe 1/1000ths. So that's perfect. So I got to figure out how long I want this, and then I'll cut it off in the other lathe, and I'll just go ahead and I'll glue it up in here overnight with red Loctite, and then I'll come out tomorrow and we'll run a 5/8 18 tap down it, and we'll be done. Actually, I'll have to tap drill size this because it's just a little bit small. But all right, back in a bit. All right, folks, what I'm going to do here, I can see where the old thread started, and let's see so our total depth is 1.2 on the nose, and then yeah, about 450 thousandths is where that line is. So I'm thinking I'm going to add 200 thousandths to that. Yeah, so 1.2 minus 450. Yeah. All right, let me do some more calculating. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we're over in the Logan lathe. I've got this set up. What I did is I marked the existing line, and now that I'm looking at it, I'm not sure if I got the right side out, and then I made another mark where I wanted to part that off, and basically I'm extending that out 200 thousandths, and then when I'm done, I'll put a little bit of a countersink in it to help that tap start, and yeah, then as Ox Tools, Tom Lipton says, Bob's your uncle. Let me verify this real quick because I'm looking at it and I'm not sure that I have the right size. Yeah, I do. All right. So snug that up. Put this where we want it. That looks about right. Catch that when it comes off. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Oops. Just a little bit of a burr there. And I think that's actually the piece that we want. Maybe it's the other side. Alright, we'll go check here in just a second. Alright, so set that in there. I think that'll work. If I wind up having, so if I extend this thread out too far, what'll happen is that the drum won't close up tight enough, in which case I'll just chuck it back up and I'll turn down just a little bit of that. So I think that's where I want to be. And now I just got to clean this up, and then we'll put some Loctite. Actually, I'm going to stick this back in a small lathe, and I'll put that countersink in there and clean that up a little bit. Yeah, that's too much food. Little bevel in there. Alright, so we're going to clean that up, and then I'll red Loctite that this evening after I clean all the oil and stuff off of this and the other mating surface. There we go. Back. Onward we go. Alright folks, so I'm just going to spray a little acetone down in there. That way if I've got any oil or what have you, that get that off of there. Alright, that I don't care about. Give that a minute to dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to find my red Loctite. Back in a moment. In there, just clean up any of our overspill. And then we'll let that set up 24 hours. And then I'll tap drill it and tap it. And I think that we will be ready to reinstall this thing. Hi, good morning folks. It's the next day, and looks like our Loctite is set up pretty good. So the tap drill size for 5/8 18 is a 37/64. I don't actually happen to have a 37/64 drill. However, I do have a boring bar, and so we're going to go ahead and bore that out, and then we'll tap it. Back in a few. right, folks, so I needed to chamfer that just a little bit more, and I actually had a 4-flute that actually fit the inside of this bore nicely, and I just fed it up in there by hand. I thought that the time lapse was still running, but it didn't shut off. So anyhow, and I just basically fed it by hand, cut very nicely, got a nice little bevel in there. So getting ready to pop this out and do a test fit on the boat. Back in a bit. All right, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing back together, and we'll do a test fit. I'm reasonably certain that we got it, but you just never know. But I think we're good. All right, and where did that little jobby go? I just lost the little set screw. No, because it went inside of there. How in the heck did it go inside of there? I bet you I couldn't put that in there if I tried. All right, clean these all up. They were all really badly corroded. So anyhow, this is the little detent that, man, that's really dirty down in there. Much nicer. Alright, so our little spring drops in there, and then this guy, there's a little flat on the one side for the set screw to set into. Nice. No idea what this actually does. And then we got this. Alright, let's head out to the boat. Hey folks, welcome back. Finishing up on this. I have done a trial fit. Actually, I've done a few trial fits, and finally got it to where I think I'm right. And but it turned out really well. See if you can see in there. So it turned out really well, and I actually had to bore out the original one that I did. I had some concentricity issues, and I just redid it. It was just easier just to redo it. So I have had to chuck and rechuck this thing, oh, I don't know, 7-8 times. And so, you know, great practice, but man, the hardest part on this is because this edge is a little wonky, getting it chucked up and having this edge so that, you know, it's running more or less in the same plane. And you know, about 5 to 6 thousandths was about the best I could do, and no matter how much I fiddled with it. So anyhow, I did test fit it first time, and I was way off. Made some modifications. I bored this a little deeper, counterbored it again, and I just put it in place a few minutes ago. Pretty close, but I did, you know, did another little countersink on it just to push it just a hair deeper, and so now I've marked up the outside edge, because this is what engages. This little cone here engages on the other side of it. As it screws in, it tightens up, and it looks like it has engagement, but I can't really tell how much engagement. So I blacked this up with Sharpie, and we're going to go check it out and see where we're at. And let's see how we did. Yeah. think. Yeah, maybe not. Not seeing anything on the. Yeah, not seeing any marks at all. Guess. Alright, looks like we need to take it just a hair further, but boy, it ain't much. Alright, here we are. Let's see if we can get this to focus. Looks beautiful. I didn't take very much out of there, probably, I don't know, 40, 50 thousandths. I don't want to take too much, but I don't want to take too little either. So just incrementally up. You know, if I had to set it up another time or two, whatever, I want it right. See you in a minute. All right, folks, here we are. And so I've got my little pin retracted at the moment. Yeah, it's not perfectly concentric, but it's close enough. And I don't know if that actually, because I mean I think that's where it's supposed to be. So let's retract that guy and let's see what happens. All right, try to, hey, leave that running and that button, yep. Go the other way. Alright, let's take this up out of the way.
It got a little loose.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. Retract this little guy. So I'm not really sure. I thought the inner cone is what, but man, maybe I need to take out just a hair more because we're not getting any engagement on the cone. Well, maybe, yeah, there's one spot there, it looks like. Yeah, they got one little spot there on the cone. All right. Yeah, you can see where the shoulder of this is impinging on our. So, all right, we'll take another. I'm gonna take about 40 thousandths out. We'll just do that whole thing again one more time, and I think we'll be there. But what I believe happens is that this comes all the way in, and then this is the locking cone, is what I believe happens, but not really sure. That's what it looks like. All right, back in a few. I'm sure there's some people out there who say, well, why didn't you measure the old threads? Well, I did measure the old threads. I don't remember what it was now, but the problem is that as this came out, it got to the point where there's only one or two threads of engagement, and it literally cocked and then it just stripped the threads out, right? And so what I was trying to do is get an extra couple threads of engagement, as many threads of engagement as I could, so that when it's fully out, that you know, it would still be sitting on the shaft concentrically without trying to rip those last threads off, because you know it's just brass, and actually this I think is stainless steel. But so that's why we're having to do this incremental stuff, is that you know, I want as many threads of engagement when it's all the way out at its fullest distance from the main body. And you know, it's just trial and error. And you know, I made my best guess. It was way off. You know, I think this is the third time that I've had to rechuck it in the lathe, and you know, it is what it is. It's good practice, and you know, I'm just trying to get this thing so that, you know, it works well, and also to get, you know, a couple more threads engaged when it's at that maximum distance. So that's why we're having to do this in and out, in and out, in and out. But I think one more time we'll have it, and so we'll bring you back then. Hey folks, welcome back, Dr. D in a Dungeon. And hey, we got this finished up the other day, and went on a bit of a camping trip and left the batteries on. We came back, they were fully discharged, so I wasn't able to test it. Anyhow, I made a last adjustment to the height or the depth, and let's see if it's going to work. All right, there we go. So, you know, these things are about 800 bucks, $800 to $1,000, and I feel like it's a little bit of a not a great design, and so anyhow, hopefully this will last me a lot longer. If you have a Lewmar, hopefully this will help you. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Dr. D out.